Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to pay attention here, we have a sprinkling no less, of the fine cosplayers that have come to Fantasticon. So if you guys would like to line up at the front for me in a nice line, just like we rehearsed all those weeks ago. Look at these costumes, guys. Look at them. The vast majority of these costumes are completely handmade. Okay, there's a lot of them bought. It's all about the character. Some of them are augmented. These cosplayers are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful folks. Now, we're going to have the first 6 of these guys are going to join us on stage, right up to Dom. Kaylee, right at the back there. And they're going to have a little chat to you about cosplay, about what it means to them. Look at these guys. Get these guys in. Come on, you two get here as well. Steampunk geniuses. Yes. Look at these guys. Okay? So you can see, okay, all at once, guys, let's have a spin to the left, please. Who knows their clock? Come on, left to right. There we go. Look at that. Awesome, right? Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, extra cosplayers on the end, so you guys can leave. And from this gentleman here with the sword right through to Dom, if you'd like to come onto stage and take your places, to raucous applause from the audience. Wonderful. Now I'm going to hand over now to the wonderful Lisa Bosman, who's here in the gorgeous top hat. Keep going, Lisa, you're here. If you guys want to stand behind, that'd be great. Now Lisa has been supporting the convention since its very first one. She's helped us out with the cosplay competition. She's always there. She spreads the word all year round about our lovely convention. So I'm very, very happy to introduce you all to the wonderful, the magnificent Lisa Bosman.
Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to Fantasticon. This is the cosplay panel. I'll be your host, Lisa Bosman. And here we have our panelists. If you will gladly like to introduce yourselves from left to right, please.
Hi, I'm Tanya. I'm well into steampunk.
I'm Kaylee. Oh, sorry. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, Fantasticon. Good evening. I'm from another time. Come from the far future where the Thargoids have decimated the universe. All that is left are steampunks, unfortunately. So, all hail the Thargoid masters.
I'm Kaylee, aka Luna-chan. Ah.
I'm Dominic, and I'm known as Northern Dragon Cosplay.
Hi there, John, and those on Elite Dangerous and on Twitter know me as Daddy Hoggy.
Hi, Millie.
Hi.
I'm Mark, and cosplaying Kellis from the Hunters Hunted and Tales of Alundra books, soon to be a film.
Hi, my lovely cosplayers. Well, today we're going to be talking about cosplay, how everything started, how we get into it, how it helps people, and how it's kind of evolved. How people over the years have managed to build upon their costumes, buy them, construct them, craft them, do all sorts of things that have moved on in the world since we have our first suits, we have our steampunks. And how we like to express a love for like all sorts of media, such as video games, films, anime, books, all sorts really. So would anyone like to talk about how they got into cosplay, Kaylee? You're in the first seat, you can't avoid attention.
Okay, I got into cosplay about 3 years ago. I already liked anime, and I always thought to myself, oh, I'd love to, look like those characters. And I didn't actually know cosplay existed at this point. So I sort of looked online and I was like, oh, it does exist. And I bought a costume, and I went to another convention, other conventions are available. And I absolutely loved it. And since then, I've been making my costumes. I made this guy. He's called Tsukoshi. It means little in Japanese because I am very, very little. And yeah, that was one of the first things I made. And I've been sort of building big suits of armor and stuff ever since.
What about you, Dominic? You want to tell us how you got to it?
Yeah, I started in November 2013, so yeah, probably about 3 years now. And I didn't have a clue that cosplaying didn't existed then either. I thought it was just, the nearest I knew of it was when Ghostbusters very first came out. And I thought it was just a dying trade. And it was in London, that was my first convention. And I had to make my first costume within 4 days. Purely because the one that I ordered never turned up. So since then, I would not buy a costume. Being a typical Yorkshireman, I don't want to spend money. So there we go. I make every costume that I've got.
Believe me, I know the feeling. At the moment, I started getting better dressmaking. I started building my own costumes as well. I don't want to buy them anymore. So would you like to tell us your inspiration, good sir?
Okay, so I probably started cosplaying, although we probably didn't think of it as cosplaying, about 20 odd years ago. Star Trek conventions. I bought a Star Trek uniform, was a member of a Star Trek club, so it felt quite normal. Loads of people in Star Trek uniforms seemed a very sensible thing to do. I was a physicist working for the MOD, so it was a bit of light relief to put on a Star Trek uniform at the weekend. And then sort of had a 20-year hiatus. I've got a 15-year-old daughter now who sat next to me, so she wants to come to the cosplay costumes. I thought, well, that's a bloody good excuse to start wearing cosplay again. So mine's a mixture of partly made, partly bought. Steampunk's quite new to me, but I like the style, so I'm going to build up on this and just keep going from there.
All right, thank you very much. What about you, lovely lady?
I was invited to Comic-Con by one of my friends, and I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? Because she'd planned her cosplays months and months in advance. And I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? So I basically scoured charity shops, and then I was like, I wonder if I could make it. So we spent 3 months making a Kylo Ren costume out of scraps of material that we found, and my helmet was made out of a bin, like with a flappy lid.
Lightsaber's made out of toothpaste.
The lightsaber we made out of like toothpaste and toothpaste holder and some water pistols, and I just basically threw everything together. And then this one, I basically scoured charity shops and was like, this'll do, or some of it I made at school during a GCSE. I was like, I'll make that while I'm not doing anything else.
I'm sure everyone on the panel has experience about putting stuff together from the littlest materials and stop panicking last minute.
Yeah.
So what about you then? Do you have a giant sword? You must have a lot to say.
I'm relatively new to cosplay, my first con being Whitby yesterday. But I have been an actor and dramatic combat instructor for a number of years, and I've been involved in a lot of low-budget productions. So I have a room full of costumes, which I just thought that might be quite nice to have a go at doing. So, as I said, the costumes today I put together myself for the Hunters Hunted trailer. So it doesn't get much more cutting edge. The film's not out yet, and I'm wearing the actual costume from the film. So, kind of cool cosplay, I think.
Alright then, as you know, everyone has different stories. As you notice, we have all types of people. One's from films. We have what we call the furry communities, where you wear fursuits and they're very cuddly and they like to follow you around, so watch out for her later. And you have all sorts of people like to do, like, you know, just all sorts of interesting stuff, really. So I guess the one thing we should really ask you is, what actually inspires you to cosplay? Like, is there a personal reason? Do you want to build a career out of this, or anything like that?
Why do we do cosplay? The main reason I like to do cosplay is because usually I'm a very polite person. If I can play a villain and be nasty and mean, I'll do it.
I think it like builds people's confidence up, because when you're wearing a costume, you're not like, some people just they like to get out of the real world sometimes. Like it's kind of like playing a game. I actually got obsessed with World of Warcraft at one point, and I didn't leave my house for like months. But no, cosplay, you can leave your house. And it's like a bit of a getaway from being you, and you can just be anyone, like literally anyone. I could cosplay you.
It's probably the only time you do leave the house.
So, what about you three over there, though? Since you're more based on steampunk and you two are based on steampunk as well, that's considered a new thing that's kind of come into the cosplay world.
I think for me, I mean, this obviously this is a bit of a new world for me, but I've known a lot of cosplayers for quite a long time, and I think I get it. Having come to the events for the last couple of days, I actually get what the thinking behind it is. And actually, for me, this is an extension of what I do for a living, but I love what I do for a living anyway, so I might as well just carry on and spend all of my life in strange outfits instead of just some of it, I think. So.
Do you want some water, Kaylee?
So I'm just dying a little bit here. So watch the steam come out.
What about you two? What encouraged everyone, all of you, to do steampunk?
Yes.
Like, why steampunk specifically?
So for me, Dan sort of screwed me up a little bit, because normally Fantasticon's in October, and I normally do Movember, and I normally come as the crow, and obviously no crow with a mo is a bad idea. So I thought I'm going to do something else. And Millie was thinking about the idea of steampunk, and I quite like steampunk as a concept. I used to read a lot of the steampunk-based comics, really, before they became as popular as they are now. So I thought, I'll give it a try. So for me, steampunk just seemed, I like dressing reasonably smartly when given the opportunity, and steampunk, you can be very smart. So I thought I'd give it a go.
I just find it so interesting. You're talking, there's a Kylo Ren right behind you.
Yes.
And like I said, so is that there's a lot of new things. Like steampunk's pretty new, but it's still part of the cosplay community, and it's something I personally wanted to get into myself with steampunk as well, because, like I said, I think it's huge. And yeah, cosplay is pretty much a way to express yourself. Some do it for self-confidence reasons. Some do it so they can actually build a portfolio. Maybe they want to move on to modeling and such. It's like all sorts of different paths you can take, or you can just go online and be like, I made this, and show off your creativity, because there are people who'll be really creative and then will just never get acknowledged, and this is like one of the best ways to do it. Be like, oh, that's so amazing, and you get people who learn how to construct new materials and such. Like we have a few prop makers here as well. It's like Dom and Kaylee, you two do a lot of makeup and prop making, don't you? You want to tell us about that?
Well, Dom's more of the prop person.
Probably, yeah.
Speak up now or forever hold your peace.
No, I never. Normally, a lot of people do tend to make patterns with their props or whatever they're doing. Me, I just literally wing it, quite very literally. The dragon that I've got on my shoulder, that was literally made in like 3 days. No pattern, no nothing. I just sculpted it as it was.
And I named him Stan.
Yeah, apparently his name is Stan. So you can't. He doesn't bite because I took his teeth out for purpose reasons. Obviously, I don't want to get bitten. Don't want anybody else to get bitten. Probably you though. But no. Yeah, I do tend to have an idea in my head, and I try to develop it from that. It never comes out the way it is, but at the end of the day, it's something that I do enjoy doing. I do enjoy sculpting. I do enjoy making stuff. I don't go over things, as in like I don't go along, think, oh, that's bad, and restart it. I'll just see where I can go from there.
Can I go outside now?
Is there anything else you would like to add before we go to the questions?
Can I go outside now?
Well, since we're all here, does anyone have any questions you'd like to ask our lovely cosplayers? And yeah.
Any questions?
Yes,
got a
go on.
question?
I'll just come down to you.
Jump off the stage. No, don't.
Run quick.
Thanks. Do you think that there's other than conventions and things, do you think there's a sort of an arena for cosplay where you kind of get in, like you were saying, sir, where you kind of, you're a stage combat guy, and I was talking to a guy yesterday who was dressed as Batman who was like, does like kind of not real fighting, but kind of stage fighting. That's fighting. It can be other things as well. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think there's let's face it, we're all kind of geeky, aren't we? And I think there's a huge crossover between the cosplay thing, the LARP thing, reenactors. You know, what we basically do, either for a living and or for enjoyment, is we dress up and hit each other with sticks a lot. Even cosplayers do that, I understand, yeah, there we go. And let's face it, the 21st century, as far as fashion and life in general, is pretty horrible. You know, I mean, shell suits, for instance. So, you know, why wouldn't anybody want to dress up in an era or a world where they look better? And why wouldn't anybody want to sort of think that they're a hero or a heroine or whatever, you know? So, what I don't understand, having, as I say, been new to the actual scene, but having known cosplayers for quite a long time, I don't get why more people don't do it. The conclusion I've come to is because they're boring. So there we go.
Anyone can cosplay, like anyone, even babies cosplay. It's like cute little Ewoks and stuff.
Yeah, you get to have cute little teddy bears that come ruining the empire for everyone. Since there was an article like a few years back in the Hot Daily Mail, about 2 years ago, and they talked about how nice it was to actually have a whole Comic-Con, how years ago some people felt ashamed to admit they were into comics and such, and how it felt like it was embarrassing, people make fun of you for it. But now we have like Marvel Cinematic Universes, DC films, like it's completely normal and everyone's like growing up with it now. And now we all get to dress up like adults and we all get to hit each other with sticks and it's completely fine. So anyone else like to ask a question?
Sorry, whoever's on sound, can we have the purple microphone through the monitors a bit louder?
Hello.
That's better. Excellent. Thank you.
Is it me?
We can hear.
A question for those of you, especially if you use more than one type of costume. How much characterization do you put into yourself when you're wearing the outfits?
When I wore the Crow costume last year, people who I knew really well, and I'm looking at Drew Weirgal here, I actually started talking to him and he kind of had that, I have no idea who you are look about him. And then I went, it's me, John. And he went, ah. So when I wear the Crow costume, I do feel very embodied of the character. When I wear the Crow costume because I have no hair in real life and the Crow has long, beautiful black hair. So, you know, it's nice to have hair for a little while. And because I love the comic book and love the Brandon Lee movie, I stand taller. I just feel better about when I wear the Crow costume. So the Crow, I put a lot into it. I'm sure I will grow into the steampunk role. And I quite liked being Jane Cobb yesterday. You know, not quite mean enough, but I'll get there with the Jane Cobb costume too.
So is there any more questions you'd like to ask? Ah, there we go. Just come round to you.
Somebody at the back of the other side.
Yeah, don't be shy, they won't bite, they're very nice people, honestly.
I'd never heard of you before today, I have to be honest. Hi. So do you have, you say you come together, do you have people who sort of write scenes for you? Do you, have different characters in different scenarios? Is that what you come together for, or are you just sort of dressing up?
Well, that really depends on each one of us. Some of us are in cosplay groups, like actual community people could come together. And then there are ones who do reenactments, like with LARPing and all sorts of productions. I'm sure panelists will be able to add more to that.
Yeah, the great thing about cosplay is that you can blend different worlds together. So you could get Jane Cobb meeting an anime girl and suddenly blending into a fight scene or something or other like that. I mean, Jane, as he is, he's really cocky, he's heroic, and basically he thinks he's gun-ho. And when it comes to an anime girl, they're really cute, they're really bad, and you never know what could happen when you put them two worlds together. So the good thing about cosplay is when you've got a big convention like this, is you can actually see it expands your world. You may only know one genre, so you might only know horror or romance or science fiction, but then suddenly when you come to a convention, there's a whole different genre for you to discover, and you might enjoy that as well.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about the cosplay scene is that you can take your favourite character and put them completely out of context and into a different universe. And then if you're playing it in character, you almost find out how they're going to react to that. I think that's one of the really interesting thing about it, you know.
Yeah, you can also like, I can't remember the exact words, but you could also like, you could make a Ghostbuster or steampunk. So that, you know, you get a normal Ghostbuster, all right, it's a normal Ghostbuster, but steampunk it up, and it's just like, wow, it's just there in your face. I mean, I can look down, and all I can see at the moment in that corner is the biggest chopper I've seen for a long while. I've been staring at it, thinking that is really. It also looks really heavy as well.
That is a huge.
That is a huge chopper.
Wow.
Take a look at that if you haven't seen it.
Can you give us a demonstration? Is there any more questions anyone would like to ask before we move on? Anybody? This is your last chance.
That's just unreal.
Alright. Oh, hang on. We got one more. Luckily, I just noticed Azina here.
What's your favorite material to use?
His question is, what's your favourite materials to use to make up for your costumes and props and such?
Anything that I can get for free.
Yeah.
Free or cheap, yeah.
Free or cheap. I'm going to stick. I got that from a wood. So there we go.
Yeah, basically, for cosplay, for steampunking up, for anything, you can use absolutely anything. I mean, most of our stuff was from car boot sales, charity shops, skips. You won't believe what you can use.
Oh yeah, you can get a lot of skips.
Oh, you can get a lot from skips.
You really can, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bottle caps, all sorts.
You can use them in such imaginative ways. I mean, there's if you can spot the lampshade.
Why do you open up the wings?
See, lampshade from B&Q, 20 pence in the sale. You just have to take things and look at them in a different way. It's all about using your imagination, freeing your mind, and having fun.
Yeah, it's the most important part. Do you want to open up your wings before we finish?
Yeah, come. I mean,
now you get to see something truly amazing. We saw this yesterday. A lot of materials you can put together and create yourselves. Anyway, that's all we really have time for today. Thank you so much for coming, and so much for our panelists for being here, and for Caravan hanging out in the background. Anyway, if you'd like to give a final round of applause, we'll be on the way. We'll let you continue on with the rest of the lovely events, and I'll take you back to Dan Grove.
For our cosplayers, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed, guys. You are all awesome.
Thank you.
Personally, what I absolutely adore about the cosplay community, the steampunkers, all these guys, is just what they've just been saying, just those few final points. It's recycling into awesome. I mean, look at these guys, right? So this is why we have a cosplay competition. We're going to be awarding the cosplay prizes tomorrow. They're cash prize cosplay because If you're pulling things out of skips and recycling centres, you haven't got thousands and thousands of pounds to drop on your cosplay gear. But yet, look at these people. Okay, so one final round of applause for them, and they're all going to filter off the stage, and they don't bite, so do have a chat to them about their costumes. Okay, and here we go. Oh, she does bite, apparently. Our cosplayers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, folks. Give us a couple of minutes to set up, and then we're going to have